listening to Rated RX. Your dose for the day.
I have to choose between the medicine that keeps me alive and paying my rent. That sense alone should stop you in your tracks. And the worst part, that's not a rare tragedy. That's not an edge case. That's normal in American healthcare.
That's not a system failing accidentally. That's a system working exactly how it was designed to.
And as pharmacists, we see this choice play out at the counter. Not in theory, not in policy papers, in real life, every single day.
So today, we're pulling back the curtain on how this happens. Not illegally, not secretly, but legally. This is the story on how drug prices explode, why cheaper options are blocked, and how pharmaceutical companies use the law itself to lock patients into impossible choices. I'm Sam, here with Robbie and Xavier on the Rated RX podcast, a proud affiliate of the Pharmacy Podcast Network. And let's start where the cost conversation always starts, and that's insulin. Insulin is almost 100 years old. The scientists who discovered it sold the patent for $1 because they feared a monopoly.
And for a long time, that vision actually held up. Insulin was once upon a time affordable, it worked, and people lived.
Fast forward, in the 90s, a vial of Humalog cost $21. 2000s, 2019, around $275. That's a 1,200% increase.
And before anyone jumps on here and say, oh, inflation over that time. No, it's not just inflation. Manufacturing costs didn't increase 12-fold. The molecule didn't change, and the science didn't change.
What changed was the business strategy.
And the consequences are deadly, unfortunately. So let's take an example of a patient, Alex Smith, 26. He aged out of his mom's insurance. His job didn't offer coverage, and his deductible was $7,600. He was quoted $1,300 a month for insulin.
So he rationed it.
And he died from diabetic ketoacidosis less than a month later, a completely preventable disease.
And unfortunately, that story isn't rare. I've had patients split doses, skip doses, stretch vials, lie and say they're fine because, really they're embarrassed.
And then you find out later that the exact same insulin has been sold in Canada for a third of the price.
Same company, same factory, different zip code. And if we think into GLP-1s, which are the hot topic right now, injectables still under patent, but people have been able to get a hold of compounds when there were shortages through COVID, the gray markets of research powders that people are getting a hold of. Patients are looking for that cheap option. And we've had that conversation on how cost can be a big factor for patients. Recently, we just heard as well, RFK was talking about releasing peptides that were on a restricted list back in 2023, trying to expand potential access for patients. Now, where that's going to go, who knows if that does move into compounding or other areas, but pretty much it's now kind of cornered off to the gray market area, and potentially we can get more access for people. Now let's talk about Humira, one of the most important and most infamous drugs ever made. It treats autoimmune diseases like Crohn's and rheumatoid arthritis. For many patients, it's not an option, it's survival.
And for years, it was the best-selling drug in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Over $20 billion in a single year.
And in the U.S., Humira can cost over $7,000 a month.
But in Europe, it's a fraction of the price.
And here's the part people don't realize. When biosimilars were about to launch in Europe, BV cut prices there by up to 80%.
But not here.
Because they didn't have to.
So how does this happen? It starts with patents. A patent is supposed to be a deal. And some of them are exclusive rights for 20 years. And then the competition comes and prices are able to fall.
Well, that's the theory anyways.
In reality, there's a number of ways that pharma can turn a single patent into a fortress. and it can be called a patent thicket.
But Humira's main patent expired in 2016. That should have been the end.
Instead, the manufacturer filed over 250 patent applications and secured more than 130 patents, making small changes, some lasting out to the 2030s.
And anyone listening can realize that is not innovation. That's simply just legal intimidation.
So for a generic or smaller company, it's not one lawsuit, it's dozens, it's hundreds. You're not fighting science, you're fighting lawyers.
And then the next trick is evergreening. Again, kind of same concept there, minor tweaks, new injector, slight dosage change, new coatings.
So basically, nothing that meaningfully helps the patient, just enough change to file for a new patent.
And then they push the doctors to switch their patients to the new drug that was recently patented. So when the original drug finally goes generic, there's no market left for it.
And if a generic company still gets through, well, there's always the pay for delay that comes in.
The brand company literally pays the generic company to stay off the market.
And that's not competition, that's collusion.
And the FTC estimates these deals cost Americans around $3.5 billion every year. The industry's defense on these things is always, we need high prices to fund research.
Meanwhile, pharma profit margins blow most industries out of the water.
And they spend more on marketing than research and development.
And if they did justify these R&D prices, we shouldn't be able to see drugs that are dramatically cheaper in Canada, Germany, or Japan.
The difference isn't science, it's policy.
Now, there is movement. The Inflation Reduction Act finally allows Medicare to negotiate prices on some drugs.
The first 10 negotiated drugs effective in 2026 include popular medications for diabetes, heart failure, and blood clots, with price cuts ranging from 38% to about 79%. It's limited, slow, but historic.
And when the Inflation Reduction Act was released, pharma and lobbying groups started suing to stop it. Because once negotiation exists, the illusion cracks.
This isn't a story of evil villains twirling their mustaches. It's a story of a system optimized for profit, not for patients. Patent thickets, evergreening, pay for delay, all legal, all devastating.
And the pharmacists, the good guys on the inside, they're stuck in the middle, explaining the prices that we don't control to the patients who we don't think deserve this.
Yeah, it sucks because no one should have to choose between rent and survival in the 21st century.
This episode helped you understand how the heist works. Share it, talk about it, ask better questions, because the system can change, laws can change, but only if people understand what's actually happening. So please like and subscribe. Let us know if anyone's going to be APHA end of this month in LA. You might be able to say hi, and we'll see you guys next time.
Rated RX, you do